It's a new year and the indoor season is coming up quick. Last year I didn't get to run indoors and I had a rough start to the outdoor season, so with the European Champs rankings closing already in the end of May, this year's indoor season will be even more important for me. I've sprinkled in more 200 meter training than usual as I'm aiming to go sub 21 for the Nordic and Norwegian indoor champs to set me up with some good ranking points towards the Euro Champs and Olympics. After one of my most consistent training periods ever from October to December,
I had such an amazing couple of weeks of training in Tenerife.
And heading home, I'm feeling ready to drop my fastest indoor season ever.
Then I went home. I was so damn sick for like 4 or 5 days.
Before taking a couple more days in bed to let my body recover, after a week I tried some accelerations, again holding back on the volume as I'm still feeling a bit reduced. On the 23rd I'm back doing a couple of series of quick 90 and 100 kilo power drop cleans and then some 10 centimeter step ups to get the legs going. On the 24th I was starting to feel better with just a small lingering cold left to conquer. I ran 2 times 60 meters and 2 times 80 meters with a fastest 30 meter flying of 2.83, which is one of my better runs indoors this year, and I finished off with a relaxed 10.8 100 meter. I didn't get to open my season last week like I had planned, but now the sprints are starting to feel a little bit better, and with just a couple of weeks left before the Nordic indoors, I'll have to give it a try to qualify. For my first day back competing in 2024, I'll start off with a couple of 60 meters. I'm warmed up and ready for the heats. Which made me a bit tense and messed up my acceleration. I ended up with a 6.99, which is honestly a big 0.2 behind where I was expecting to be before getting sick a couple of weeks ago. I'll warm up again for the final, focus on a better reaction, and let's see where that gets me. A much better start this time around, but I'm not feeling 100% at the top end. And I got a 6.87. I ran a 10th faster for the first 30 with a 4.03 and a 2.84 final 30 meters. A lot better than 6.99, but far from where I want to be still. Now I have a 200 meter coming up the following day. And I'll have to place top 2 in the country if I want to be selected for the Nordic Champs coming up in 2 weeks. Øyvind ran 21:50 in the first heat, so that's my target. Maybe not my best reaction out of the box, but the start felt okay. I ran nice and smooth, but I felt like I never reached peak intensity. And even if I didn't push too hard through the bend, I lost my power and my knees for the final stretch. 21:51 and second place for me, which luckily means I'll get a spot for the Nordic Champs, but unfortunately I won't be getting one of the best lanes. And now there's only 3 weeks left of the season to turn that frown into a smile. I've been staying away from weights after being sick, but in between meets I'll get in just a little bit of strength maintenance with some drop snatches and some 10 centimeter step-ups. By the end of January I'm starting to feel better, so I can up the volume just a bit. Blocks are starting to feel better, but still not any great times. To get in some more 200 meter prep, I'm doing 4 times 100 meters, doing full rests of 10 minutes between. Felt quite relaxed and smooth, but my recovery is still not quite back where it should be. I tried to do some blocks a couple of days later and some strength training 3 days later, but was feeling absolutely wrecked after those quite easy 100 meters. I was back sprinting on the 5th of February, prepping for the Nordic champs, also with just 2 weeks to go for the indoor nationals. I had some good 30 meter blocks down to 3.95 from the thumb starter and a relaxed flying of 2.92. On the 7th of February, on my final prep session before the Nordics, I did just the absolute minimum with a 3.98 30 meter block start and a relaxed 120 meter in lane 4. Even if I'm relaxed here, I'm so uncomfortable in these sorts of smaller indoor tracks. So after some considerations, thinking my shape was good and knowing I'll get lane 4 in the Nordic champs, I decided to go for a better time and ranking points in a smaller competition the day before. Got out the blocks really well and started to run very relaxed down the back straight, though I did feel like I lost a little bit of focus as I paid too much attention to the Lithuanian on my outside. Even though I felt nice and smooth through the first 150, just like last time I felt like I had nothing left to go out on the final straight. Lane 4 for me will be a challenge, but still keeping my head high about the Nordic champs tomorrow.
Well, I'm not really happy about yesterday. So running the Nordic champs today should start to feel good now, but it's like it's like 3 or 4 weeks since I was sick. So it's like the sickness is holding on, just trying to hold me back. Since I'm running lane 4, I'm just gonna try to do my best. I've had no good experiences with running in lane 4. Maybe today will be my first, even if I'm not feeling super. I'm super excited to put on the national suit. Always love to run in the Norway suit. Gonna take a cold shower. And then we're gonna head out to run the 200. Let's go.
Mathias Hove Johansen fra Skjalg, 25 år gammel. Han har løpt på 21.51 i år, men har jo bedre tider enn det inne fra tidligere. 21.08 er faktisk persen hans. Den siste 200 meteren i gang, og det ser da ut til at Kallestål går veldig bra i den ytterste banen, som jo er den beste med disse knappe svingene innendørs. Jeg synes han går ganske bra, Mathias Hove Johansen her, og presser nesten Finland i kampen.
I feel like I'm doing everything I can, but my body is just not back where it was in January.
21.65, hvordan føltes det gikk?
Følte seg greit. Det nivået jeg har vært på nå i det siste. Så håpet vi skulle løsne enda litt mer i dag, men ja, det er der jeg har vært.
Hva som ikke løsner helt, føler du?
Nei, jeg hadde en sinnssykt bra treningsleir i januar, og så endte opp med litt sykdom når jeg kom hjem, så jeg har ikke kommet helt på topp igjen etter det, men ja, så det er liksom, ja, det var greit gjennomført løp, alt tatt i betraktning.
A couple of days after the Nordic champs, I finally felt like my general health was getting a boost and a bit of weight seems to lift off my shoulders as I set a season best in the counter movement jump. My hamstrings were also starting to feel a little bit tight, so I was doing the bare minimum for the final week of preparations towards nationals. This will be my final chance of the indoor season to take with me any ranking points towards outdoors, so I'll focus 100% on the 200. We start off the champs with what is starting to become a little bit of a tradition for me. Last time my PB was written totally wrong.
Since I have 28 as a personal best, I've got lane 3, even though I should have 5 or 6.
Well, not as bad. This time the heats were seated more like individual finals than qualifying runs.
Du mener at det skal ikke være sånn at nummer 1 og 2 er samtidig? Og jeg går sett lurer på om det er gjort noe feil siding på 200.
It ended up being way too late to set up the heats all over. I don't often get frustrated, but my brain just can't comprehend. So even though I knew it wouldn't amount to anything, I delivered a little bit of a protest just to get it out of my head before I headed to warm up for the 200 heats. Let's go. I started to get warm and ready, and earlier this season I always started to feel a little bit sluggish whenever I reached towards 100% intensity, but this time I'm feeling great. This heat will set up the lanes for the 200 meter final, and the final will probably be a determining factor for my outdoor season ranking. The times to beat from previous heats are 21:50, 21:62 and 21:79. Schapset has beaten me 3 times this year. He has the fastest time in Norway this year with a 21:40, and we're now fighting for a top spot in the 200 meter final. Let's go. Great smooth start before I pressed the gas out of the bend. Felt great through the bend, but I was afraid I would lose it on the final straight like earlier this year. But I held on and went through with a season best of 21:26 and a clear favorite time going into the final. That little bit of frustration from the heat seating might have given me just that little bit of extra tension that I needed to perform at my best.
Du ble bare gira av opplegget.
Du blir gira av protesten.
Sa til Erik I dag tidlig som føler jeg ikke blir nervøs nok.
I felt quite dead after, exhausted but in a good way, and I'm ready for the final day of my indoor season. My plan was to run 3 fast 200 meter competitions indoors. Didn't manage to find my best shape for the first 2, so my whole indoor season rests on the shoulders of this final. I'm feeling quite stiff in my hamstrings after these past weekends of competing, so I'm having a thorough warm-up and I'm ready for the final. In the final moments before the final, I sat down for a minute to find my focus. I'm feeling my heart racing and we're ready to go. And then the damn box slipped, but luckily I'm alright. .21:13 and a new season best, only 0.05 of a second from my PB, even with the block slip. And super happy to be back on top after not getting to compete indoors last year, even though the indoor season didn't go all the way like I hoped, missing a sub 21 200 meter. I felt like I saved it when I had my last chance.
Det deilig. Jeg føler jo at 200 min øvelse, og I fjor så måtte jeg sitte på tribunen, og Det var kjedeligere enn jeg trodde det skulle være. Så jækla kjekt å være tilbake og på topp.
For the European champs, there will be 36 qualifiers, and currently I'm ranked 39 after the national champs. Only 6 points missing from a top 36 ranking. To put that into perspective, if I just were to run my national championship time one time earlier this year, I would be in. Knowing I didn't get to see my full potential indoors this year, I'm looking forward to the outdoor season starting in May. Subscribe to stay tuned for that, and thank you so much for watching, and an extra big thank you to the channel members and the Patreon Sprint Squad supporters. I hope you liked and shared this video, but either way, I'll catch you guys another day on Project Paris. Peace!